Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and joining me this week is the entire crew, the Combat Sports Talk team. You got John Keys.
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
All right. You got George G Money Stallworth.
Oh,
What's going on?
And you got KC Kalechi Onyebuchi.
Hello, is it me you're looking for?
I wasn't expecting that.
It definitely wasn't in the script.
It was
No,
not in the
that's
script. The Lionel Richie impression was not in the run sheet.
All right. Good way to start off the show. All right.
It is awesome. We got a great show for you guys tonight. This is a show that should have been a common occurrence. It should have happened on April 18th. It probably should have happened back in March, and that is a UFC pay-per-view preview show. UFC 249 is taking place this Saturday in Jacksonville, Florida.
Bum, 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 bum. It's
Bum,
going
bum.
down.
Allegedly.
As far as we know,
I've been
it's going to be
upstaged
real.
with my allegedly.
Well,
I'm gonna play it.
We
Man.
thought April 18th was going to be real too.
Yeah.
We
No,
did.
y'all thought that.
But
All right.
some of us, yes.
That's all
Yeah.
that we.
Yeah.
Y'all speaking French.
Just saying allegedly, people, because hey, we've seen this. We get all excited, like yes, and then no. All
Yeah.
right.
I
so-
want to know if Vegas is taking a line on the number of fighters who catch COVID after this event.
Wow.
I bet.
I mean, I went
I'm-
dark
I'm
right out
sure.
the gate.
I'm sure.
Like,
Yeah.
Vegas, you can bet on anything.
yes.
Yeah, I think that that's going to be the case. But let's get into it. I mean, this is the thing that really everybody's talking about is UFC 249. Will they or won't they? Let's get into our headliner. All right, this is our headliner. This is where we talk about the number one topic of the day, and that is UFC 249. That is our headliner. There's a lot of things talking about it that everybody's saying, will they or won't they? How many people are going to get sick? Is this going to be a feather in the cap of the legend of the UFC, or will this be the beginning of the end because it's going to go terribly wrong? So I'm hoping that with everything that Dana White is putting on the line here, that the fact that he is going and putting himself out there, I hope that he's successful. I really do.
There's a confluence of things that make this just the perfect storm, which I really think they're going to pull it off because you've got a starved fan base, like people who are just dying for any sport at this point. So you're going to bring in fans from outside. And then you've got Dana White, who at his core, he's a showman. He likes to put on a great show.
Mm-hmm.
So he almost can't fail at this point. We are starved for anything. Like people have been watching marble races. So he can't go wrong here. I think the bar is really, really low. And so he's going to knock it out of the park.
But so, John, the thing for me is that is success just high ratings, or is success high ratings and no occurrences of COVID-19 after the event?
Not only is it both of those, but not only do you want to have, high ratings, no type of COVID occurrences, but you want to make sure that the fighters are going to fight. We cannot have any stalling fighters on that card, okay? Because if you have one stalled fight, it is going to bomb. All right, it's a make or break. All right, we gotta bring the heat if they're gonna do this. They gotta come out. I mean, literally, they have got to come out the gate running into the center of the ring, just swinging. They don't even have to no technique, no nothing for the first 15, 20 seconds, and then they can go back to technique. Then they can proceed on. But if we have like a Derek Brunson Black Beast type fight where they're just standing around and they're just circling each other, it's not gonna work.
So we just need Justin Gaethje in every one of the fights.
Pretty much.
Well,
Gotcha.
we got him in one. We got Justin Gaethje in one of those fights. We'll do we'll do the fight picks and everything at the end of the show. This card, the cool thing about this card is that we are so starved, and there's been so many cards that have been canceled that we have basically an opportunity to see a who's who of UFC fighters in one card. That doesn't happen. You get like 3 or 4 really good fights, but this is something like 6, 7, maybe 8 good fights on one card. It's going to be totally worth it to purchase this one, and I think Dana White is definitely counting on that.
And hold on to your seats, people, because not only are we having one great fight this weekend, but then on Wednesday we're getting another great fight, and then on the following weekend we're getting 3. We're getting 3 fights in one weekend. We can't cover it. Yes, sir.
Does it hurt the sport at all that this is a paid fight versus come one, come all?
What do you mean?
What do you mean by that?
Well, just the number of eyeballs that you can get on this. Like, yes, people are starving for this and are going to throw money at it. And I think pay-per-view buys are going to be fantastic. But you could get even more fans by not making this a pay-per-view.
Okay, go ahead, George.
Like giving one away. I don't know.
Well, the prelims and the are free. So I think that's going to do a lot to bring those fans in. And typically from what I've already seen since they've been on this pay-per-view model, they use the prelims to entice people to go ahead and purchase the others. So,
yeah,
that's definitely what I see is going to happen with this one, because the card's so stacked. Once you start watching the prelims, you're going to be like, I got to go ahead and pay this $65.
Yeah.
And understand that the prelims, he stated, are 3.5 hours. That's a pay-per-view in itself. So you're getting, for those who didn't pay, you're going to get a great pay-per-view out of the prelims. For those that did pay, you might as well start barbecuing early, because you're going to have yourself a UFC party.
Yeah,
for one.
By yourself.
For one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a punch-up-palooza.
We've got to remember that
tailgating.
there's no room for propinquity in this current setting.
Okay. Propinquity.
I need to bring out the dictionary for that one.
Hold on, people. I gotta look that up.
Can you spell it?
Propinquity.
What kind of
Ryan
thing? Can we use that in Scrabble? Can we use it in Scrabble?
That word is like a 270-point word. Propinquity. It's got a Q in there.
The more you know.
Hold on.
Google can't even find it. Propinquity.
Okay, so here we go.
Stop the whole show
Got
on one word.
word or what's the origin of the word, please? Can you use it in a sentence? Propinquity.
We have a sentence. He kept his distance as though afraid propinquity might lead him into temptation. That is the sentence, I kid you not. Propinquity.
That was a weird read, bro.
Yeah, bro. I'm looking. Hey, leave it to the internet. Okay.
Well,
I mean, we could have just said nearness.
Okay. So we met the qualification of smart podcast. Can we get back to funny?
Okay.
I mean, for those watching video, they've got your face, so we're good to go.
Oh,
I got you on your spelling bee.
10 minutes in and we already getting suing people up, huh?
You know,
no, I'm good.
No. Mm-mm. You done did it now, Casey. Now, look, I'm taking off my gloves now. Take the earrings off. Take my shoes off.
The views expressed in this podcast do not necessarily.
Listen, I know that you haven't read the run sheet yet, so you don't know what's coming for you.
Oh my God!
We're about to change that real quick.
But before we go, for those who really want to know, propinquity means the state of being close to someone or something. Proximity.
Okay, there you go.
I'm making us smarter.
Now may the tomfoolery continue.
All right. So not everybody is happy about UFC 249 happening, and so let's go through some of the comments, some of the people, the naysayers, if you will. Ringside Physicians, they were really against having any events going on right now, but now they've kind of taken a step back and they're saying, well, while it's impossible to eliminate all risks, if people are making the types of precautions that they can, that's available to them, then, you know, they are going to support that. And so I feel like Dana White has gotten, you know, a lot of his ducks in a row, getting, you know, some of these guys in support. He is having fully staffed corners, and they're going to be approved for UFC 249. Now, you can't bring your entire entourage, but you can have your corner. So that means that you can have a full corner for UFC 249. We talked about it in a previous episode about what it would be like fighting without anyone in your corner or just one person in your corner, which I wanted to ask George. George, this question's for you. Of the three people who is not you on Combat Sports Talk, that's Kelechi, that's John, and myself. If you could only have one person in your corner, who would you put in your corner?
Wow, no pressure here. Oh
right.
My God.
Just remember, Ryan can't fight.
Ryan can't fight, but he's got 2 wins over KC. So
I'm gonna be away from my keyboard real quick. I'll be right back.
I would run too.
I'll be right back.
Go get it. Go get it.
I would
I'll wait for this answer and then I'll return.
You know, that's a hard one to decide. I know Casey's trained MMA. And let's talk first. What kind of fight is this?
Well, you are a Muay Thai fighter.
Okay.
So let's go with it's a Muay Thai fight.
Casey has training. I would say the intelligence factor and the ability to understand someone clearly would coincide with Ryan.
Oh my God, where am I?
And if I needed somebody,
call me a dum dum.
He called us both dumb. Okay.
And I would also say sometimes in your corner you need someone who's got some banter or the ability just to bring you back to reality or make you laugh or just to, you know, something to wake up. That would definitely go with John. I'd have a difficult time, but if I want to win the fight,
Ryan.
If he wants to win the fight,
Ryan set this up just so he could take another W today.
No,
Like,
see, y'all are poisoned in the well. Y'all are poisoned in the well because now George is honor bound not to make that happen. Like
exactly.
No, I'm going to give you my honest answer.
Also, he's a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I just need you to know that.
Yeah.
Use that how you will.
Yeah.
The key to victory
Thank you.
is my corner man.
what?
Because you
come from behind victory.
All right.
John Keys. George picks John Keys for his corner. I can't say I'm not shocked because I am shocked. But
okay, and I'll accept that for the simple fact that in a fight, when you're in there, nothing changes your mentality like getting punched in the face a couple of times. You need somebody to keep you grounded and rooted and stick to the game plan. That's what I bring. I bring a little bit of hilarity, and I bring you back. And then I'll tell you, go in there and stomp a mud hole in them.
I can see me walking back to the corner and John turn around and tell me, you know, you got your butt whooped on that one, right? That guy takes the next round.
God, look at that.
So we've got comments coming in from the audience. Sonia Gutierrez, she is telling us about the more you know.
Shots fired across the brow.
So
wow.
Camille Beasley says good evening to us all. So good evening to you, Camille. And looks like we got some Philadelphia Eagles haters in the bunch because someone says Wentz sucks. So got one
big
viewer.
Facts.
What you got right there, buddy?
Ryan, I need you to look up and see what's going on the screen.
Yeah. So
you need to turn that sideways.
Can we get a full frontal facial of belt?
Full frontal on
So-
that
Does
one.
that say campeon? Campeon? Nobody gonna take this belt from me.
So
All right, Joanna.
yeah. So anyway, all I know is that KC took the belt and left the state. That's all I know.
Hey, so are you publicly announcing our rematch?
No.
You want some of me, old man? No.
No. But I will say that the official record is Ryan is undefeated versus Kelechi Onyebuchi. So there you go.
Hold on, stop. Okay, so you know what? You say it, and then you say, all right. People need to watch the video. The video is out there on YouTube, people. All thing you have to look for is Onyebuchi versus Smith. There's a 1 and then there's a 2. Go find it.
Just watch 2. 1 didn't count because I literally fought 3 days before that.
Oh, whatever. Excuses.
No.
Yes, excuses. Short notice fights.
I'm the real
excuses.
I'm just saying. I watched the fights.
How many days before that?
I punched him up,
fight
dude.
Did I fight?
I whooped him.
I was literally still icing myself the morning of our fight.
I had him turning and running in the ring. I had to back up off him but we had a gentleman's agreement that if someone looked hurt, that we wouldn't go in for the kill. So I had.
Then you shouldn't have hit me in the first place. I was still injured from my previous fight.
No, you can't do that.
There we go. Tell him, George. Tell him. Tell him, John. Tell him.
If you jump in the ring,
I had that Cerrone mindset. Look, I just got there and I didn't want to be there anymore.
Sir. I'm sorry, you cannot use that defense. All right, you should just hit him.
Speaking of using that defense, let's all go over to Intelligent Defense on Facebook and see what those comments say about who was what we thought about Cerrone showing up but not showing up.
Oh, see, he's trying to change the subject now. You brought out the belt, and now you want to change the subject when it's not looking good. See that? I'm gonna let you throw in the towel.
Happened was
I'm gonna let you throw in the towel. There you go. Let's get back to the show. How about that?
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, let's get to it. Don't worry about me. Let's do a show.
I'm not worried about you. Yeah. I just remember you left the state
flabbergasted.
I dare you to make it your profile pic there, Casey. I dare you to make it. I dare you.
It's gonna be my first picture on Bumble.
See, here's the bad thing. Like, no, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you have no idea what's going on. So let me tell you, Kelechi he left the camera, left the screen, came back with my belt that I rightfully own, that he was given after I beat him in a tough man competition put on by a radio station here in Dallas, Texas. And they handed him the belt even though he did not win on the cards. And therefore, he promptly took that belt, left the state, and has not come back to Texas since.
Oh, that is so untrue. Okay.
So there you go. That just lets you know that the champ is here in Texas. The belt is being kidnapped and held hostage in Colorado.
I am
somewhere
always
in the
up
mountains
for an undisputed bout. Let's unify the belts.
So there is a lot of belts on a UFC 249. There are a lot of fights that are planned. We got 2 championships on the line. And so everybody's upset about this. And the Florida governor Governor DeSantis is saying, listen, I wanted this to happen and I've been lobbying for this and people need this. But the problem is that as of Friday, Florida had 33,000 confirmed cases and 1,268 deaths. That basically there are concerns that Governor DeSantis is being irresponsible about how he's bringing the UFC in. There's an epidemiologist that they interviewed that Bloody Elbow interviewed. And Bloody Elbow is one of the sources where we get our information. And he said that they are not ready in Florida. Basically, he's saying that that there's threats to the people when they travel to the venue, when they travel away from the venue, the number of fights and the number of contacts, because they're doing 3 fights in 1 week. That's going to create issues. Locker rooms going to be issues. And what he's saying is that they need to test as soon as they arrive, which is going to be a challenge because there's 3 events in 1 week. But the UFC is testing everyone. They have announced, or they haven't announced, but what they've done is that there's an email that went out with all the procedures that they are going to be doing at UFC 249, and that means that they are going to be passing, that fighters have to pass a diagnostic swab. That's that 6-inch in your nose, and an antibody coronavirus test in order to compete.
That swab is like this long, and it's gonna go all the way up to right about here. Okay, I've seen videos of military personnel taking it, and it's not pretty. Now we're about to find out who's the real and who ain't. Okay.
Imagine getting all the way there to the fight venue, only to discover that you were asymptomatic but still a carrier for COVID-19. Like, that's got to be absolutely devastating. So, it's I've seen a lot of what the precautions are that are going to be in place, and I think as much as I am not a fan of this happening, I also believe that people are going to people. So, let them do them. It's also just hard to pair that with the knowledge that we have enough tests to get all the fighters tested, but we don't have enough to make sure that, I don't know, healthcare professionals who need to be tested get tested.
Okay, let's look at it for what it is. I mean, no,
I'm just saying,
I'm with you, man.
The UFC just manages to pull resources in a way that it's just questionable at best.
Well, it's not like that the UFC president is good friends and on the economic council for the president,
right,
about getting back recovering from a coronavirus. It's not like they're not having a UFC event in the president's new home state. Remember, he's not a New Yorker no more. He's a Floridian. And it's not like that, he's trying to, what's the word? Put on a pomp and circumstance saying that we're great. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. This is Murphy laws dictated it very well. No plan survives initial contact. I will have these fighters and their crew and the entire UFC personnel in my prayers.
Wow.
But
wait, you don't even.
I am known to pray from time to time. Okay.
I'm getting ready to say, you don't seem like the kind of guy that would put anybody in prayers because of the word prayers.
Okay. One thing you're going to learn is that there is no such thing as an atheist in a foxhole. Okay, first of all. All right.
I've met a couple.
All right, then they were ready to die. You don't want to be with those cats. Okay?
So basically the Gracie train those
yeah.
are all atheists then, because they are all ready to die.
They ready to die. Hey, they'll say a prayer for their victims.
Wow. Speaking of prayer for victims, how about these face coverings?
Yeah, so you can get UFC branded face coverings available for order. And, what I wanted to do was actually show what those face coverings look like. Look at John putting on his face coverings.
Hey, you darn right.
So, actually, these are the UFC face coverings, and I gotta say, they actually look really good. I'm impressed.
Okay.
UFC Fight Kit.
I'm glad they look good.
Fight Kit.
I'm glad they look good, but are they effective is the question.
Well,
because I got the face mask right here. This thing is very effective because you could. I'm not going to light a flame.
You look a lot more attractive. I will say that.
Well, die slow, and
die slow.
Wow. Hey. I'm just saying, but these things right here, the easiest way to test if they're effective or not, light a match, blow. If you can blow out the match while you got this face mask on, it is not good. If you have a hard time or cannot put out a match while blowing with this on, it is a good mask. Use the mask, okay? I am the man that loves camo. Okay, if I can get this camoed, I'll be in hog heaven right now. But if it's not effective, I do not want it. All right.
Did we just get another "the more you know" moment here?
Yes, you did. Okay.
Wow, man.
We're just educating today.
Blow out a candle with a face mask on. You need to throw it in the trash, basically.
Right. So shout out to Zach Bigelow. He's watching on YouTube right now. He says you got to make some money somehow. And
Zach is 100% correct. But at the expense of life.
But no, I think he's talking about the face mask, and the face mask. All the proceeds are going to are going to charity. So It's 3 masks. You get 3 masks for $25. It's actually a pretty good deal.
But are they fashion?
Yes. Go look at them.
Make it COVID, but make it fashion.
All right, let's get into finding the angles. This is where we look at some of the other headlines that are going on besides UFC 249. And so I'm going to go ahead and skip Bob Arum ripping Dana White, calling his cowboy behavior dangerous because he did. And we're going to get right into Khabib Nurmagomedov urging people to respect lockdown orders as coronavirus cases spike in Russia. As, of course, you know that the reason why we're having Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson in this fight is because Khabib Nurmagomedov, 1, is stuck in Russia, and 2, it's Ramadan right now. And so he is not in a position to be able to fight. And so with the cases spiking in Russia, then he is urging people to observe the NPI, the non-pharmaceutical interventions like social distancing and self-isolation, which will flatten the curve. And what he's saying is that the hospitals are full, that they're struggling with supplies. A lot of the same things that we experience here is going on in Russia as well. And so he's urging people, using his platform, to try to encourage them not to go out.
Is this a Ja Rule moment? Everybody's listening to Ja to try and get his perspective on the situation.
I was like, that is a stretch.
Yeah, like I think
those who, hey, if you follow Dave Chappelle, you know exactly.
What would I be without my baby?
You know, I mean, I'm glad that Khabib is doing the responsible thing and doing that, but we need medical personnel. We need CDC. We need World Health Organization from anywhere, any legitimate person that's a health professional that's on this investigation. We need to hear from them. Forget the politics. Depend on the humanity. I need more humanity and morality in this situation. Give me the people that know.
Well,
I mean, this goes to me to Khabib being like a true champion. Like, he has always been the embodiment of what martial arts was about. Like, when he fought Poirier, he made it very clear that he wanted to do this with respect and honor, and no matter how it ended, the two men would respect each other. And so he has been the champion that always reflects the highest levels of honor when it comes to martial arts. And I think this is in keeping with that, where he's saying, like, I'm valuing public safety and health above all else, and we should do the same. And so while, yes, we need the informed decision, or the informed conversation from these well-credentialed healthcare providers, we also have to remember that most Americans in particular, and though he's speaking to a different audience, but I can speak from the American's perspective, we listen to celebrities far more than we listen to the credentialed individuals. Like, there are people who have doctorate degrees that are telling us to stay inside, and we're listening to a person on the internet saying, nah, it's a hoax. So maybe we need more celebrities to tell us what to do, because we're not listening to people who are credentialed.
Or maybe we get the celebrities to have a doctor like 6 feet away from them say, hey, doc, what's going on, man? Why don't you tell them what you just told me? And then let the doc take over.
I mean, we've done that with wartime propaganda since, forever. So it's an effective means to have a celebrity give the message versus a trained professional. So this, to me, is along the lines of when people tell LeBron to just stick to basketball. Like, I think we are whole individuals, and we have to bring our whole self into everything that we do. And this is a part of Habib, that he really respects the decisions that these healthcare providers in his country are saying, and he wants to keep as many people safe as possible. So speak on.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. Because, after all, Captain America did tell people to buy war bonds, and then he turned around and liberated an entire platoon of men from a castle that was held by the Red Skull. So yeah, preach on.
Man, wait, is he referencing Captain America? I thought we were already done with talking about DC Comics.
Oh my
Oh.
God. Okay. All right. We said we shall not talk about this. Okay. Yet here we are. All right.
Look,
Mistakes
everybody's
were
getting it.
made.
Everybody's getting it
Mistakes.
tonight. Like Kalechi, you done open Pandora's box. Everybody's getting it. But I'm not coming for George because that
Say it
dude.
right.
I'm not
Say
coming.
it right.
I'm not
Mr.
coming for
Stalker.
George because George punches so hard he knocks himself out.
There is the story there, ladies and
It's
gentlemen.
true.
It was
Hopefully,
an elbow, actually. Thank you, Ryan.
okay. So we're gonna have an after the bell moment, and we're gonna have him tell that story. Okay, that's the long and the short.
Yeah, that would be good to do after we do it after the bell extra segment. That's a good story to tell if you're willing to tell it, George. Now,
It's not much of a story, but I mean,
here we
You're
go.
gonna tell the story, Mr.
We
Stalker.
are not going to make it through this run sheet tonight. This show is going to be like I spent all that time putting this run sheet together. We're not going to make it through. So Habib Nurmagomedov is urging people to be safe and don't, put themselves in danger, except for one dude, where it's a Russian MMA fighter who is a rapper who made a video dissing Habib Nurmagomedov, and while he's walking down the street, 5 dudes jump him.
So
well, the first mistake was
Yeah, you don't call out Habib Nurmagomedov. You don't call him out in rap, and you don't make a video disrespecting him the way that the video disrespected him, because he's got folks.
I will call him out on his basketball playing. Have y'all seen that?
But it's called Dagestani basketball.
I'll still dunk on him.
No, you won't. That's a guarantee. You will not dunk on Dagestani basketball.
Habib, come at your boy.
So for those of you who haven't seen it, Dagestani basketball is basketball,
Traveling.
except you don't dribble. Basically, you run with the ball, and they will tackle you as you're trying to get it. And if you're not careful, they will not only tackle you, but they will submit you with an arm bar or a choke in the middle of the basketball court.
And that's how Draymond Green learned to play basketball.
That is not a basketball court that I would ever want to get on.
Man, leave it to ESPN, the Ocho, to come up with the best stuff ever. All right, the Ocho.
Oh my gosh! So
I took us off the rails.
So speaking of rappers, Tyron Woodley.
Okay.
really.
Just the exasperation as we all like.
Okay.
So
we'll take that week lead in. Okay.
listen, I am trying to keep this show on the rails. You guys are like gone. So Tyron Woodley purports to be a rapper, allegedly. And
Are you taking shots to Tyron?
Right? Like, that's my champ. Come on, fam.
Hey.
You don't want that smoke, man. Okay, he got that extra hair beard going on.
But we can be honest, though.
Going on down
like,
he's a terrible rapper, though.
Tyron's verses are trash. Like,
Yeah.
I respect him as a fighter, but
Hold on. Okay, so
In and out of love.
okay, so I'm gonna be the one that had the awkward opinion that I've heard trash lyrics like from Ice JJ Fish and Uzi 21 Savage and Uzi Vert and Lil Yachty. Once you get to once you get to Ice JJ Fish, if you think Tyron Woodley's lyrics are trash, sir, you are a snob at
Okay,
that
let
point.
me say it like this: just because there is worse trash than Tyron Woodley doesn't make his lyrics any less trash.
I'm just saying.
Like this is the bar for trash. Tyron Woodley is here, and Little Uzi Vert is here. It still doesn't meet the level of not trash.
But if you're sitting in your Escalade and your boy's got, hey man, why don't you hear this good music? And he's got 2 CDs.
That's 3
One
fingers. That's 3 fingers.
Okay, we'll give you 3 on your European side of the game. If he gives you 3, one is Lil Yachty, one's Ice JJ Fish, and one's Tyron Woodley, you better believe I'm saying, man, pop in that Tyron Woodley. I want to hear that.
Because he don't even got good
we
beats.
can ride in silence.
Awkward,
We can talk.
awkward.
I'm like NPR, please.
Anywho, so what is the tea with Tyron Woodley?
So with Tyron Woodley, here's the thing that's going on. Tyron Woodley is trying to find a fight. He was supposed to fight Leon Edwards, and that fight fell through in London. which Tyron Woodley didn't want to fight that fight anyway. But then Colby Covington spoke up, and Tyron was like, forget Leon, I want Colby Covington. But Colby Covington isn't going to fight Tyron Woodley because he doesn't hold a belt. Then Tyron Woodley decided that he wanted to go and get after Israel Adesanya and start talking smack to Izzy.
Go ahead, continue on.
And so he's hopping from person to person trying to pick a fight, trying to get a money fight. And Kamaru Usman is just like, dude, just fight anyone right now. Just fight. Like, don't worry about who you're fighting. Knock out people in front of you just so you can get back in the ring. Get back on that ladder. And so Tyron Woodley is like, Israel Adesanya is starting to speculate that maybe Tyron Woodley needs the money fight because he needs the money.
I think that's fair.
It's fair, but at the same time, I listened to Tyron talk about that. He said he didn't call out Israel. He was asked the question, would he fight Israel for the belt? And he's like, I will knock Israel out.
Okay, then he called out Israel Adesanya.
No, that's not a call. He said it doesn't matter who. If he was sitting right here next to me, if he was my best friend, if he was anybody, if they asked him, would you fight him?
Right answer.
I'm gonna knock him out.
No,
that's not
the right answer.
What is he supposed to say? Man,
Izzy might get me.
No, yeah. I'd probably start off with Izzy is a 185 pounder. I fight 170. So let me worry about people in my weight class, like Kamaru Usman, like Colby Covington, like.
You were all about selling fighters. There's no way that earns Woodley a fan, like not a single fan.
I'm
gonna ask you to take a seat, sir.
When was the last time he fought?
He might as well got knocked out by JJ at this point. Okay, and then you can say something like that. Okay, you cannot say anything like that in this film. I'm talking about Tyron Woodley get knocked out by
JJ Evans or Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Joanna.
Dynamite!
Oh my God. But seriously, he cannot. You cannot sit there and say, "Hey, this fighter over here, would you knock him out?" And you cannot. What are you gonna say? You gotta say, "I'll knock him out. No. I will knock him cold out, smooth out. I will knock that man out, smooth out." Okay. I can't say the rest of what I want to say because we're a family friendly show.
To the viewers that are watching, do you think Tyron Woodley should have called out Israel Adesanya? Do you think he should have shown some respect, or do you think he should have been like, I would knock him smooth out? Like, what do you think? Type in the comments. Let us know what you think.
It was not a call out. It was a question he answered.
The answer is yes, and then you move on. You don't have to say I will knock him out. No, you have to embellish it.
Knock him out. And he didn't relish on it. He didn't stay on it. He's like, hey, I'll knock him out, and kept going.
So my thoughts on Tyron. I go back to a couple of years ago when a lot of people felt like Dana White was hating on Tyron, and Tyron was catching the bad, a bad break when it came to the way he's being promoted and things like that. And now I transplant myself 2 years later, and I think about it. And I don't feel as bad for Tyron anymore as I did back then when a lot of people felt like he was being misappropriately handled by the UFC. Tyron's wounds are very much self-inflicted.
There we go.
You don't.
Yes.
Yes.
I disagree. Because if you look at when he was originally upset with Dana White would literally go out of his way to bring up Woodley in press conferences and be like, no one wants to fight him.
Love is self-inflicted.
Yeah, that's facts.
But okay,
that's
so
on his own.
So all right, so you're saying that Tyron did not actively pursue any fighter, and because even when he was champion, he was having problems getting fights.
Yes, but the problem is that he had a fight. He had Leon Edwards, and Leon Edwards is ready to fight. Leon Edwards is a top 10 fighter. And he is coming up. He hasn't lost in I don't know how long, except to Jorge Masvidal.
He actually at a press conference, which was no ref or anything like that. But no, his record is solid.
Yeah, so it's a good fight for Tyron Woodley. He lost the championship fight. His last fight, he was outclassed by Kamaru Usman. You got to take that fight. So for him to not only not take the Leon Edwards fight after it got canceled, but then to start courting Colby Covington, and then to start getting into it with Israel Adesanya, and you know that he's hard to book a fight with anyway. Like, I agree with George. These are self-inflicted wounds, and I agree with Kamaru Usman, who's saying just fight the next guy up. People need to see you knocking folks out. That's what he does. But it doesn't matter how many times you say you will knock someone out if you don't actually get in the ring and knock someone out.
Yeah, I just think that the problem is that this isn't a great fight for Woodley. He has a chance of getting beaten by Leon, and then his career is effectively over.
Then you don't need a title shot.
Yeah. Yeah, then your career is effectively over. Okay, that's the whole point of the fight game. You got to go in there and prove who you are.
Correct.
All right, if you come in there and you say with your theme song, I'm gonna knock you out, then you need to go in there and go knock somebody out.
Otherwise, you all talk.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then not only did you get knocked out and your career's over with, but your wordplay sucks.
Your backup plan is that's probably why he needs the money, is because somebody had to buy all those albums.
Oh, that's cold, man. That's cold.
You're not wrong. I second that motion.
So we were talking about Anthony Smith and the home invasion before the show. So
we were.
It seems like he's not the only one that's getting into situations where weird things happen and requires MMA fighters to have to use their martial arts to defend themselves. Have you guys heard about what happened to Luke Rockhold?
Yes. He got attacked by a zombie, basically.
Yes.
A corona zombie.
So basically, he's out walking his dog, walking down the street, and I think it's Santa Monica or something like that. And
what kind of dog was it?
I think he got a little dog, to be honest.
I know he got a little dog. I know he does.
A little dog. I mean, he's a model, so I mean.
Yeah, exactly. What kind of model is he, sir? He's an underwear model, but please continue.
You got to have a little. So how do you know that?
All this hate for no reason.
How do I know that? How do I know what?
Do you wear the same brand? I mean.
Oh man, come on now.
Everybody's getting it.
It's my job to know these things. That's why I'm here.
Yes,
okay?
You're right. I'm just. Everybody's getting it tonight. Everybody, Kalechi started something, and now I'm having trouble stopping it. So anyway, Luke Rockhold is walking down the street with his dog, and this lady is sitting at the bus stop, and he's like, she looked kind of weird. She looked like she was on meth or something like that. And as he's walking his dog past her, she jumps up, runs at him, and starts looking like she's gonna hock a loogie on him. And he's like, "What the hell?" And he front kicks her.
Now, misses and takes a right hook to the head and went down just like no.
He said he hit
the soldier of God got him again.
He hit her with a front kick, and she landed on the ground, knocked out, quivering like she's a vampire in the sun.
I feel like the extra part is what makes it not okay.
He he said that he didn't have his phone on him because he was charging it, and he didn't think anything was going to happen. He's like, the one time I needed my phone, I didn't have it. So he basically just walked on, and it was he said it was like a movie.
So
my guy just came up with a cover story for an assault.
Yeah, I'm like, well, it's a better cover story than he had in the ring. Trust me, there was no cover story that could have saved him from that one. Oof. Okay, so that dog that Luke Rockhold had, was it a golden retriever?
I don't
know. Was it named Champ?
I would assume so. The way you're looking at at Google right now, I would assume that that's what it was.
I'm not looking at Google. I'm just saying, But no, I mean, Luke needs to give it up.
Okay. Man.
Just be a model, dude. Okay.
Yeah, I think so too.
Front kick the zombie, throw a little holy water on it, call it a day, man. But go back to Calvin Klein and Demi Lovato and be a model, dude.
So
it the day. So
anyway, so that happened. Kevin Lee expected to be out for 6 months due to ACL surgery. So, he's having a little bit of a rough spot in his career, but he's going to try to get straight with the knee surgery. He says he's going to be out for 6 months. Usually, it takes a year to recover. So that's a credit to that biology major that he
Yeah,
is.
yeah, man. Yeah. He needs to just go back and
I
work.
will say, I'm always surprised at how fast the UFC fighters come back from these major surgeries.
Is that a shot? What are you saying there?
I could have
No.
heard a shot. I heard a chamber load.
I think I heard one too. Are you
No.
saying there's some injections taking place or something?
I heard,
What are you saying here, KC?
Yeah. What
No,
are you
just
saying, Casey?
I'm just dead serious. Like I remember how long it took me to recover. I tore ACL, MCL, PCL, and LCL. Like I did everything. And my recovery was a year and a half. I know other people who came back to football in a year, but it's the level of strain that you have to put yourself through in a fight, a UFC fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more about the mental of just like, I remember the very first time I took a handoff in college after my ACL surgery. All I could think about was, I don't want to tear this again. I don't want to tear this again. Like the state of mental toughness that these fighters have to get in there and ready to full on bang again.
Mm-hmm.
Like this for real is like a credit to them. Like I don't know how you can say 6 months after a surgery, you're going to be ready to fight again. It takes a lot of mental toughness that I don't know how they do it.
To get back in the ring and to not focus on the injured leg. Like for you, you'd be worried about that left leg, right?
Oh, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Just watch yourself.
You don't want to
belt.
kickbox me, so you don't want to kickbox me, so
you just
it's
watch
whatever.
that left leg. Anyway,
It's whatever, cuz.
So this brings up this is the next segment is really about fight regrets. And
here we
Daniel
go.
Cormier regrets losing to Stipe Miocic. He says, I'm better than him. And I think that that's true. Basically,
Facts.
he was talking on DC and the DC and Hawani podcast. He goes, I respect him. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great role model, but I'm better than him. I just want to go prove it. I should have never lost to him. That's going to be one of my greatest regrets. This is what he says next. I lost to John Jones, but he was better. Stipe Miocic is not better than me, but that's going to be something I'll regret for the rest of my life, is letting him get a victory over me. It should never have happened.
That's a real warrior right there, a real champ to be able to be honest about it. You can see your competition level where you're fighting up with a John Jones, but I think everyone saw the same fight when it came to Miocic. Like, it was Daniels to win.
Yeah, I totally agree with it, that a real champ acknowledges when he got beat. Here, show that belt again, fake champ.
Ooh.
You want me to go grab the trophy too?
Yeah. So go ahead, acknowledge that you got beat while you hold that belt.
Hey, what was it like when you felt that the wind from my hook just barely missed you? What were your thoughts in that moment?
Wait, you're breaking up. I'm sorry.
Oh no, we've got quality of service optimized here. We're dealing with network engineers.
All right. Real talk.
No.
Real talk.
Unpopular opinion. Okay, first of all, DC just snuck this Stipe like three times in there. Okay, I'm a better fighter than Stipe. What? Okay,
It's true.
It's true though.
Apparently there's video record that says that he's not, okay, because he got knocked out. Okay, I don't care what you say. I don't care how good you say you are. If you still got knocked out by the dude, you're apparently not that good. All right.
It's like, no, it's not the same, because
Not the
DC
same.
had the option of winning. He just chose to try to fight a dumb strategy just
Then
to
guess
prove that he
what?
could.
Then guess what? You lost. And that will forever mark. That's just like
No.
Okay.
I disagree with you, because what you're saying is that because the fact that Stipe Miocic got the win, he is better than DC. The
No.
fact is that DC was winning that entire fight. He was winning
Until he wasn't.
Until he wasn't. It doesn't change the fact that DC is better than Stipe Miocic. George.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, the first fight, Stipe was winning the entire fight, and then DC shut it down.
The fight went less than one round. How do you win? How are you winning the entire fight when you didn't even make it one round?
Who was winning the fight?
Stipe got knocked out.
What?
He
I'm
was
sorry.
winning. Okay, so let me get this straight.
One
He
round.
I
was
did not see
winning.
this coming.
He was winning
Yeah.
until he lost.
No.
And now he's garbage.
Stipe Miocic, you're not winning the whole fight when you're in the first round. When you go 20 minutes with somebody and you've won the first 4 rounds,
If the fight lasts for one round and you're winning 4.5 minutes of it, you're winning until you lose.
No, the fight didn't even go 4.5 minutes. The fight went like 2 minutes.
All right,
There's
so
no way
for the
that you would
first
win
minute
it.
30, first minute and 30, you're winning the fight until boom. Oh, all of a sudden you're not winning the fight. That's the same thing that happened here.
I
So
think
since they're 1-1, who's better then? Because this logic just doesn't work for me.
The person who adapted
Most recently won.
Okay, the person who adapted to the adversity and found a way to overcome. That's the winner.
There's
Yeah.
typically a trend that happens though in trilogies. The person who won the second fight tends to win the third fight.
Ooh.
we got to
I
look
mean,
that
that
up.
came from Coach.
Oh, yeah, I mean-
that came from Coach.
I mean,
He
Coach
blew
says
our
it.
mind.
Coach
That
says
sounds
it.
real. Like,
I
If
mean,
Mr. Stallworth says it, then that's true.
I'm not gonna
I was like,
dispute it.
But on top of that, and then he had to bring up John Jones. We know, okay,
But it was
DC.
respectful. Come on, fam.
Come on, it's respectful as like talking about an ex-girlfriend, dude. Okay, no,
You must not have heard me talk about my ex.
we promised not to bring up this. Okay, we're not
That's
gonna
fair.
bring
That's
it.
fair.
All right. So it's just a fact though. He's not gonna get over John Jones. Okay.
He's over
He's
John Jones.
That was the most "I'm over this person" statement you can make.
Yeah, I agree with that guy.
the best. Hey, Mr. Miyagi said it best. The best defense is not to be there. If he's truly over John Jones, he should have never brought him up in the entire conversation.
No, because
Coach?
people are going to ask him if he's talking about someone who beat him, like Stipe Miocic. They're going to bring up John Jones. He had to respond and say, "Listen, the difference between Stipe Miocic and John Jones is that I recognize that John Jones is better than me. Stipe Miocic is not better than me." And so that's what DC is saying. He's like, I lost to him, and I accept that I lost to him, but he's not better than me. I know that I'm better than him. I beat him in the first fight, in the first round, and the second one, I was winning for 4 rounds until I wasn't.
So that's just like saying that the first matchup between Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva, that Chael Sonnen was clearly the better fighter because for 4.5 rounds, for 24 minutes and 30
rounds. Yes.
that he was beating the crap out of him, grinded him down to a minuscule powder, and then all of a sudden Anderson Silva came out with a triangle choke and beat him.
Okay. Your analogy doesn't work. And the reason why your analogy doesn't work is because in the second fight between Anderson Silva,
there was a second fight.
In the second fight between Anderson Silva and Chael Sonnen, Chael did not have nearly the success that he had in the first round.
Well, I mean, we'll agree with that.
If Chael Sonnen would have taken down Anderson Silva and beaten Anderson Silva up again for 4 rounds and then lost again, then I could potentially say that Chael Sonnen is better than Anderson Silva. Anderson is just a crafty joker who finds a way to win. But the fact is that he beat up Anderson Silva for 4.5 rounds in the first fight, and then in the second fight, Anderson Silva made him look silly. I mean, that spinning back fist where he fell down next to the ring and then caught a knee to the chest shows that Chael Sonnen was not as good as Anderson Silva, that the first fight was a fluke. But what we have is 2 fights between Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic, where Stipe Miocic got knocked out in the first round and in the first fight, and then he got outclassed for 4 rounds in the second fight before exploiting Daniel Cormier's liver, and then that won the fight.
Adapted to adversity, found a way to win, and won.
Thank you,
Coach, about to get you.
No, I'm leaving this one alone.
We'll agree to disagree. We'll agree to disagree.
If this trilogy fight happens,
that much different in what you're saying, though, Ryan.
So before y'all jump into that, hold on. Let me cut in here and say real quick. I think that this does prove that Daniel is over John Jones, and it's whatever. Like, I don't think that there's still bad blood in that he's willing to give props that way. Didn't bring up performance-enhancing drugs, all that stuff. Like, this was probably the most respectful. Yeah, like, this is probably the most respectful that you can talk about somebody when you're just trying to move past it and addressing, like, hey, do you think this person will knock you out? Like, hey, you give your answer and you move on. So
no, he went and cried in the car.
Oh, for sure. That hurt himself.
He went and cried in the car. He's not over. He just can
Yeah,
see
thank you.
his talent and separate that from the human being and stuff like that. He cried in the car.
Very much.
So I'm going to say it like this. I'm going to tell you right now, if this fight between Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic happens, and either one of you, Mr. Stallworth, sir, or John Keys, picks Daniel Cormier to win that fight, I'm gonna rag on y'all. I'm gonna be
No,
the
person that wins the second fight out of a trilogy typically wins the third fight.
Okay, well, you go ahead and pick Stipe Miocic.
You what?
Okay.
You pick Stipe Miocic then. Like, go ahead and call it out today.
I'm just saying what history says. I'm not saying that he's going to win this. I like Daniel Cormier for that fight because of the different things he brings to the table.
He's better.
But I want you to go back and research your stats this week. Look at your trilogy fights. See who won the second fight. See who won the third.
I will definitely do that research. But all I'm saying is both you, George, and you, John, have both disputed the fact that Daniel Cormier is better than Stipe Miocic.
I don't know if I dispute it, but I get what you're saying. I see you're trying to lump it into a category.
What you're trying to do, you're getting it as a gotcha moment, okay? Yeah. All right, that's what you're trying.
No, I already got you because you're both.
Episode 123 of Combat Sports Talk. Hey guys, let me rewind you to last week and talk about Stipe and DC. Oh, let's talk about George and John who picked the wrong fights.
Oh,
not necessarily the case, but I get what you're saying, Stephen Smith.
Okay,
right,
listen.
Exactly.
That's right. And Stephen Smith was proven right, just like I'm going to be proven right whenever DC wins the fight.
On that one. I got a message from someone who asked us to talk about Dominic Cruz getting a title shot. I know
we talked about it last week, but we could talk about it again. Actually, let's go ahead and get through these last couple of things, and then we get to the fight card because we got to go and make our picks, right? So if they'll stick with us. We will talk about it because you already know I'm hot about that. I'm like, this is wrong. It should not have happened. He's a great fighter, though, so I'm going to watch it. Chris Cyborg reflects on her loss to Amanda Nunes. She says it kept flashing in her head. I wish that they could have run that one back. I would have wanted to see that one again. Dana White did an Ask Me Anything on Reddit. And there was a couple of cool things that he talked about that came out of that. One, he revealed his favorite UFC knockout of all time. Which one do you think it was, without reading it?
It was probably the Ben Askren knockout. Because there's no love lost there for how many years? There was no love lost.
Mm-hmm. Dana will tell you though, I like Ben, but he says it in that way where you know that's not the truth.
Yeah, we cool, but we ain't that cool.
So what Dana White said was his favorite UFC knockout was Ben Askren.
Exactly.
But he said, he said it's not because he doesn't like Ben Askren. He says because it's a flying knee that ended a fight in 5 seconds. Like as a promoter, like that's you never see that.
I still don't love those ridiculously fast knockouts where it's neither fighter really got to prove their ilk.
Yeah, I agree.
I sometimes think that Dana brought Ben over just to see him get cleaned up by somebody.
Oh, I think so too.
I believe it.
I think
he's proven
it. Greased palm after that knockout of Ben Askren like that.
Oh yeah.
Payday.
But yeah, he proved that because there was back in the day when Lyoto Machida was the killer. Dana White would send I think didn't he send Tito against Lyoto Machida and he cleaned him out in like a round?
Might have. I think that might have happened.
I want to say it did, but
you can look that up. You can look that up.
I think so.
But yeah, I mean, I think that the fight with Ben Askren and Robbie Lawler was one of those gotcha kind of fights that was a bad matchup for Ben Askren. So I think that that's the case, and Ben Askren made that comment as well. Dana White also was asked who's the hardest and the easiest to negotiate with. He said Mark Hunt and Forrest Griffin. You tell me who is the hardest and the easiest.
I think it's actually a flip because Mark Hunt hates Dana and the UFC org as a whole. So I feel like he just is like, whatever, I'll just sign the contract and move on. Don't want to deal with it.
No, not at all.
No.
Well, Mark currently has a class action lawsuit filed against, I think, the UFC and some other players in the game.
Well, at least
Yeah.
his first one got dismissed.
A lot of it got dismissed. Yeah. The last one they asked him, if Anthony Rumble Johnson returns to the UFC, who's going to fight? Dana White said he'll give him someone in the top 10, depending on where the structures lie.
No, he won't.
Can we get a tune-up fight for Anthony? I mean,
dude, that guy hits hard, and he's been powerlifting.
I'm just saying, don't toss him to like a Francis Ngannou or who. Let me think. Who, in the light heavyweight division, who would it be? Just can he get
he's
a
not
tune-up
fighting
fight?
light heavyweight.
Not anymore. No, he's put too much muscle on.
He's
I don't know.
fighting heavyweight.
The word was that he's going to go back to light heavyweight now.
I don't think that's a good look for him.
He originally said he was going to heavyweight, but now the word is he might go back to light heavyweight.
I would like to see him versus an Overeem. That would be an interesting fight for me.
I like that.
Yeah. That would look
or
good.
Brock Lesnar.
No, Brock Lesnar is done. And speaking of someone who's done, Cain Velasquez was cut from WWE.
Ooh.
You know, yeah, he was cut to cut down on budget basically for WWE. And you know, I was looking and I cannot find his finisher. I don't think he had a wrestling finisher.
I don't think he actually got into the ring, did he? He just showed up.
He did. He showed up and he showed up and he also shooted on Brock Lesnar and was punching on him.
But there wasn't an actual ring. Like there wasn't actually a fight in a ring. Like he did a promo and there was a brawl in the ring, but he didn't actually fight in a match.
No, he was not in the match. He did most of his wrestling in CMLL and AAA.
Yep. All right.
The word I heard is that he kept getting injured too much for the WWE, which we know he is injury prone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's get into the final segment of the night. That is the fight card. We're going to make our picks for UFC 249. All right, it has been a long time, but we are doing it. This is the fight card. This is our preview of UFC 249, and we're going to make the picks. We're going to go through all of them because all of them have a noteworthy fighter. So we're going to go ahead. These are flash fight picks. Sam Alvey versus Ryan Spann. John, who you got?
I don't know anything about either fighter. Unfortunately, that's my fault. I'll flip a coin and say Ryan Spann.
All right, George.
Wow. I don't know. I'm choosing against John. I'm going with Alvey.
All right, KC.
Unfortunately, though I like Alvey, I'm going Spann on this one.
All right, I'm going to stick with Smiling Sam Alvey. I actually got to see him in Ottawa that time whenever I was in the same hotel as the fighters at UFC at the UFC event.
Ryan will not fail to bring that up every time.
It is one of my favorite stories. It is a highlight of my life. It's going to be one of those things on my tombstone, along with the pepperoni. The Bryce Mitchell versus.
Wait, what?
Whoa.
You can't just smooth over that. Okay, what?
What? It's a pizza joke. There's a brand of pizza called Tombstone.
Gosh, that was terrible.
All right.
See, it's not funny if you have to explain it.
Exactly.
All right, Bryce Mitchell versus Charles Rosa.
Doug Nasty, baby. Okay.
Brian Mitchell versus Charles Rosa. Kalechi, who you got?
Charles Rosa all day.
All right. George.
I'm rolling with Rosa too.
All right. John?
I'm be odd man out. I'm taking Bryce. I would say Bryce Doug Nasty Mitchell, just because on that name. He may get killed in the first 10 seconds. Guess what?
This is why y'all don't use him for Vegas odds.
Yeah.
Have I ever told you about me and shooting dice? I am legendary for snake and eyes. Okay, legendary snake eyes. Legendary. Okay, let's not even talk about my D&D days, man. Okay, I was legendary. All right, for it.
All right.
Worst type of rolls, I got you.
I'm going with Charles Rosa. Here we go. Next one, Vicente Luque versus Nico Price. Here we go. George, G Money Stallworth, who you got?
Nico.
Uh,
All right. John.
Man, if the coach calls, I'm gonna go with him. Nico Price, man. Against better judgment, I'm going Nico Price.
KC.
The price is not right.
Oh.
Nice.
The Nostradamus makes a pick. I'm going with Vicente Luque. I like that guy. I think he's gonna do well. All right, here we go. Uriah Hall versus Jacare Souza. John, who you got?
If he's smart, Jacare will go for the takedown within the first 5 seconds and get this guy out of there. Do not play with this man. Uriah Hall is explosive, especially when he is mentally there. Okay, that's my pick.
George?
Jacare.
I told you guys last week, Uriah's training over at Fortis. I'm going to go with the hometown team. I'm calling Uriah Hall for the victory by knockout.
All right, KC.
I'm also with you there, Coach. I will say that, just for the record, I find this fight to be the single most intriguing fight on this entire card because of the X factor that is Uriah Hall's mental state.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Exactly.
If he's dialed in, he's a dangerous guy. But I like the fact that Jacare Souza can fight standing up, or he can take it to fight to the ground. I got the alligator, crocodile. Anyway,
Crocodile.
Carla Esparza, the Cookie Monster, versus Michelle Karate Hottie Watterson. George.
Bro,
Karate hottie all day, baby.
All right.
When was the last time Carla won a fight?
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
After watching her get beat in Dallas, I can't ever pick her to win. Oh my gosh.
John?
And I love Carla Esparza, but Michelle Watterson, okay, she's trying to be a mom champ. So
Yeah.
I gotta give it to her.
I swore that after I saw Michelle Watterson fight the fight before Joanna Jędrzejczyk, I was like, I like Michelle Watterson. I like how she fights, so I'm gonna go with Michelle Watterson. But she got to keep the fight off her back, man. Like, Carla Esparza is still a great wrestler. She's just terrible on her feet. Okay, Fabricio Verdum versus Alexei Olenek. KC.
Olenek all day. That's easy.
All right, George.
Man. This is I think Olenek, but Fabricio can surprise people. We've seen it happen before with him, man.
It's been a long time. He hadn't fought in 2 years.
Jiu-jitsu.
My guy's old.
I'm just saying. I'm old too. I can knock somebody out.
Yes, sir.
Some of this old man.
Hey, man, don't mess with George.
Yeah.
Okay, George.
Don't ask George
That's the
that
call out I
question.
don't want.
Yeah, don't ask George that question. You want some of this old man? He's like, actually, yes. Step outside.
Tell you, I be killing them up in these streets. I'm telling you.
John.
Fabricio, I've always followed, always respected Fabricio, especially if you throw a boomerang accurately. But Alexei Olenek, he's up and coming. He's young. He's hungry. He's dangerous. I'm giving it to Alexei.
On with it too.
What's that?
KC over there.
I'm not even looking at him.
You look a little tired on that pillow, sir. I mean, you know.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Fabricio Verdum. It's been a long time. He hadn't fought in a while, but, at heavyweight, I think he gets that fight to the ground. This is the featured fight on the prelims. Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Anthony Pettis. You might remember Anthony Pettis defeated Donald Cowboy Cerrone with a liver kick and stopped him. Who you got? George.
Repeat that for me. Is this the featured fight on the prelims?
Yes.
I'm going with Pettis. If we could move this to something other than the featured fight, Cerrone would get this, but
you think Pettis? You think Cerrone ain't there anymore?
I don't think that he's not there. He has a hard time showing up for big fights. And if this is a featured prelim, I would consider it a big fight. More eyes are probably going to be on this prelim fight than on the actual pay-per-view to some degree.
Now, is this going to be a 5-rounder or is it going to be a 3-round?
3-round.
Oh, shit. Pettis. Oh, I'm sorry. Pettis got it. Yes, I know. It's at. Hold on.
All right.
But you just have to go back.
I can't. All right, Casey.
I just want you to recognize it wasn't me this time.
Hey, it's been a long time,
Just
man.
added
This
an
is
hour to my process. Thank you.
I was literally thinking earlier before the show started that if I messed up and slipped one in, that I should just go ahead and get several more just to get them all out the way. That way, you can just, whatever point you found it in the show, you can just say, okay, we need to delete this 5 minutes of footage here.
I mean, I could do that if you really.
No.
Okay, you know.
Don't make his job any harder.
Yeah,
All right.
you know.
Gaethje.
So I'm going Cerrone here, and I hate it because we all know I despise that man.
Wow.
I just need, like, if I'm gonna pick him, I need to also say something disparaging along the way.
Okay.
Like, I can't just pick Cerrone.
I got Anthony Pettis. You know, I am not confident that Donald Cerrone really wants to keep fighting. I think he says he does, but I don't think he's emotionally. I don't think his heart is in it anymore. I think that the Conor McGregor fight was a sign, and I think that Anthony Pettis is gonna get another win, and we should start talking about whether or not Cowboy Cerrone should continue fighting. He's fought a lot.
You trying to retire the man, huh?
This is my opinion. All right, let's get into the main card. Greg Hardy versus Yorgan De Castro. John Keys, who you got?
Greg Hardy. Period. Point blank. That's it.
All right, George.
I'm going with Castro on this one, man. Barring Hardy does something illegal like hits an inhaler or what else did he do there one time? Or an illegal knee or something.
Illegal knee,
Yeah, he just keeps finding a way to lose fights. So I'm going with Castro.
Okay.
Oof, I'm opposite here. I feel like Hardy doesn't know how to lose outside of getting in his own way, but that dude's meant for this sport.
Yeah,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, I'm going with Greg Hardy myself. I think that this fight isn't going to last more than 2 minutes if they fight the way he's been fighting. Jeremy Stevens versus Calvin Kattar. Gaethje.
Little heathen.
Little heathen. George.
I'm going with Calvin, man. Have you seen him lately?
Dude. That's the right answer. John?
I don't know. I think I'm going to have to go with KC on this one. I like Little Heathen all the way, man.
All right. I got Calvin Kattar. That guy. I really thoroughly enjoy watching that guy fight. Here we go. We got Francis Ngannou versus Lorenzo Rosenstruck. So, KC, who you got?
I got the fans. We all win on this fight.
Make a pick, Nostradamus.
All right, this one doesn't count against my record, but I'm going Rosenstruck.
Woo.
What?
I know. This is why I said it doesn't count against my record.
Your home team?
My home team, like
He's like,
African bloc. Everyone knows
like,
the African bloc doesn't vote together.
Wait till you, boy.
Oh, man.
They're in the mix.
All right. George.
I'm going with Ngannou.
Yeah. John?
I'm going with Ngannou, too.
All right. I'm going with Ngannou 3 because that's going to have that. Like, Rosenstruck was getting whooped by freaking
Out of fear.
Alistair
It was
Overeem.
out of fear.
And you think Alistair Overeem is scarier than Ngannou?
He had Rosenstruck was on his way up, had too much to lose. This is the fight where you put it all on the line.
It's gonna be another highlight knockout. This is gonna go less than 2 rounds.
Well, you saw what Rosenstruck is able to do when he turns it up. Like if he turns it up from the jump.
He's a decorated kickboxer as well. It's not like the man is not a fighter, so.
But he ain't got that power like that.
Okay. And he's gonna be playing too conservatively. We were watching that fight, and it was like, dude, actually start throwing punches. If he allows Francis Ngannou to dictate the pace, Ngannou is going to catch him. He's going to catch him. All right, co-main event: Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz. George.
I'm going with DC, baby. Footwork all night. Hopefully, we're going to see a clinic.
All right, John.
The man doesn't believe in ring rust, and he has proven it. And as much as I don't like the dude, I can't knock his skill. Dominic Cruz is going to win.
All right, KC.
I'm cruising with Dominic.
All right. Well, all of you guys are on Dominic Cruz. I'm going to be like on Dominic Cruz as well. You guys know I cannot. Henry Cejudo could be unopposed in the ring. Henry Cejudo could be unopposed in the ring, and I would go with the air. I'd pick the mat versus Henry Cejudo. But
Had you not just picked Dominic, I would believe that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
wait, what?
You just picked Dominic, didn't you?
I did.
So you can't then say that you would choose the air over Cejudo because
He said if it was nobody else in the ring, if he went unopposed.
Like I said, if Henry Cejudo was unopposed, I would go with the air against Henry Cejudo. I'd pick the mat over Henry Cejudo.
proceed.
So to the person who messaged George, if that person actually waited this, I didn't realize it was going to take this long to get to this point. But I am actually not happy with Dominic Cruz being given this fight. He's been out for 4 years. He's been injured, and even though he is a talented fighter, even though he is a draw, he is stepping over people who have an actual right to this fight. And it's unfortunate that when we talk about the fact that this is about the honor of the sport and this is about being respectful and working your way to the top, that a person like Dominic Cruz, who's been sitting on the sidelines doing color commentary, can go and not fight for 4 years and then step into the ring and fight for a title. He himself, I understand it's his money and all that kind of stuff. So before we get this is money and no friends, this ain't show friends, it's show business and all that kind of stuff, he should have the honor and the respect of the other fighters in the ring and say, listen, Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen, Aljamain Sterling, you guys deserve this fight before I deserve this fight.
But Dominic Cruz has an ego, and he's not going to let that happen.
So it's wrong. It's wrong. It
is
is absolutely wrong.
It's wrong. It's completely wrong. When he lost to Cody, he was beside himself. I've never seen an angrier fighter. All right. Not even Ken Shamrock was that angry.
I don't blame the fighters when the UFC puts them in this position. UFC has a ranking system that if they valued, they'd follow. They don't value it. So as a fighter, you're given a shot, you take it every time.
There you go.
I yes, but at the same time, you still can say, no, it's wrong. I have morals. I have values. And
I got mortgage.
Mouths to feed.
I got mortgages. I got cars.
You get to a certain point where that argument is hollow. I mean, this is like Latrell Sprewell turning down a $10 million contract going, I got to feed my kids. Like, I'm sorry.
Not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's just how some people are wired.
But where are they now?
Yeah, exactly. I don't follow that mindset of, I got bills to pay. I'm like, you got to do the right thing. Do the right thing, because in the long run, it will work out in spades.
Who amongst us haven't applied for a job that we know we're not qualified for? I mean, it's no different when your job's fighting. Like, you shoot your shot.
Yeah, I guess.
This is a dude that would have gotten a title shot anyway. The moment he started fighting again, he would have gotten a title shot. He's a great fighter. He deserves the ability to fight for a title, but you need to actually establish yourself again after 4 years of being out. That's all I'm saying, is that it's not like he's some fighter. He's not like he's someone like Damian Maia, right, who fought his whole career, got a title shot, and then was really trying to get another title shot. And then when he finally got it, he didn't put, he didn't fight a great fight. And it's like, so, it's those kinds of things that it's like Dominic Cruz is going to get a title shot. He really could have been a good person and let right fighter fight.
Repeat what you were really going to say. Company man, right?
Well, I was going to say company man, but the company man did what the company man does. The company man did what the company man does, and he went and fought, stepped over the fighters and fought.
In being a company man, which he's been for multiple years, even while he was out injured, he's always, as a commentator, hyping up that whole division. He has done more to keep that 135 division in our ears than anyone else I know. Even cringeworthy Cejudo. Two, he's won that belt twice. He's held that belt for whatever time until he was injured. That alone, I think, guarantees him a title shot. I'm not saying he earned it or that he deserves it after being 4 years off. But what I am saying to you is, and when you look at that division, who's the fighter that's going to bring heads to the table?
I mean, this is the argument, right, as to why you let Dominic Cruz fight for the title. Yes, he brings attention to this card. He is a draw. He absolutely is. But the fact is that at this point, is it the right thing to do? Is it the ethical thing to do? That's all I'm saying. I don't, based on my code of ethics, I would have heartburn knowing that these fighters have been working their whole career for the opportunity to fight for this title, and then when it came open, they weren't even asked. They just came straight to me and said, "Hey, you want to fight for the title?" And I just don't think that's ethical. I just don't think it's more. It doesn't fall within my personal moral compass.
So we can't reward someone who's been a company man?
We shouldn't. The company, we shouldn't. We just got finished talking. No, you can't.
But we get mad at fighters who turn down fights, but we're saying more fighters should turn down fights.
No, that's not what we're saying at all. That is a twisting of what I'm saying.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is that Dominic Cruz had an opportunity to do the right thing, knowing that there are fighters who had rightfully deserved a title shot, and he instead decided to take that title shot, even though he has done nothing in 4 years that have warranted his right to be fighting for the title right now.
Tell me how this plays out for Dominic if he turned down a title shot. What does the UFC say to something like that afterwards? If I'm a matchmaker and I call you up and say, "Hey, DC, I got a fight for you, Henry Cejudo." Nah, man, there's some other guys out there that deserve that a little bit more. Call me back when you got another matchup for me. Sure will. Click. Hope you get hurt.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, but at the same time, it's like if he fights one person. You've let Dominic Cruz fight one person. He finishes that person. You know good and well everyone's going to be asking Dana White, when's Dominic Cruz going to get a title shot?
We also know how.
Why do we have to do that?
You know that DC is going to get hurt either during this fight, directly after it, have to go out for another surgery, or whatever the case may be. This is the time to make that fight. You're not going to get this fight later.
I just think it's sad for the other fighters. And that's it. For me,
Seems
Peter
very
Young.
black and white.
See, Kelechi, at this
We're
point,
saying right and wrong here. Is it really wrong for this guy to take the shot he's given?
No. What I'm saying is, based upon my code of ethics, I think it's wrong.
Okay.
I'm not making an absolute. I'm not making an absolute statement. I am still consistent after all these years. I'm saying within my own code of ethics, and you can go back. I know that what happens is at this point in the show, when you start eating and drinking on camera, you miss what I say. Like when I said that Henry Cejudo, if he was unopposed,
shots fired.
I would go with the air or the mat. That you missed the context.
Look,
there,
he just took a drink. All right,
he's not. But George ain't calling me out. George ain't trying to push my buttons.
Actually, I am. I'm saying
George isn't low key calling me out, making absolute statements and stuff like you're doing. Like you dog whistling right now. John and George have no idea what you're talking about, but I know. So that's why you're getting the fire.
I would say it like this, and just to sum it up in one statement, I'm not saying it's right, but I understand.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right. And true, I agree with you, Ryan. I agree with you wholeheartedly. On a moral standpoint, this is wrong. But at the same time,
it's business.
I understand why it was done.
Yeah, and I can't dispute
I don't think
that.
it's right for us to defecate on DC as a result of this, though. Notice how I didn't use that word that would have had you cleaning this up later.
Yes. But thank you. I appreciate that. No, but I actually have a problem calling him DC, even though his initials are the DC.
Just call him Cruz, like I do.
But anyway, I digress. Main event of the evening, Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje for the interim lightweight championship. We all said that we don't necessarily give a lot of credit to this belt because the lightweight championship has been an interim and it gets taken away faster than my belt after a ticket fight night. But anyway,
Bruh, get over it. Build a bridge and get over it.
Who you got? Let's go with it. Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. We'll start with you, Kelechi. Who you got?
I'm going with Justin Gaethje because the year is 2020 and crazy stuff is happening all around us.
Yeah, you got a point.
Yep.
All right. George, who you got?
I'm going with Tony, man. Tony Ferguson.
John Keys?
I'm gonna go with Tony Ferguson in this matchup. His elbows are too sharp. His awkward style is just too good. I'm sorry. Justin Gaethje is gonna have some problems.
Yeah, I got and you know me, Tony Ferguson is my dude. I ride or die for Tony Ferguson no matter how crazy he gets. I got Tony Ferguson, so I got Tony Ferguson winning in bloody fashion. He's going to be cutting up Justin Gaethje, and I don't think this goes the distance. I think he finishes Justin Gaethje. So there you have it. UFC 249 this weekend. I am excited. We're going to have to figure out how we're going to do it. Maybe we'll do a live broadcast like we usually do at the Lion and Crown. Let's go ahead. Let's follow us on social media. On Instagram, I'm at Combat Sports Talk. John?
I'm at Keys to Victory, and that's Keys with the ES.
George?
Darkside MMA. That is Darkside_MMA_.
And Kelechi?
I'm at Idris Elba.
All right. You can find us on our website at www.combatsportstalk.com, and you can find this show on all your favorite podcasting platforms as well as on YouTube. I want to send a shout out to MMA Junkie, MMA Fighting, MMA Mania, Bloody Elbow, and the Intelligent Defense Discussion Group on Facebook. That's where we get a lot of the content for our show and have a lot of the discussions that you hear play out on this show. On behalf of John Keys, George Stallworth, and Kelechi Onyebuchi, I'm Ryan Smith, reminding you to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs. We'll catch you next time.